Why the government wants you to be poor. The wealth gap is not an accident. Over the past few decades, the rich have only gotten richer while the middle class continues to shrink. And the poor, they've stayed exactly where they are, struggling. But here's the thing, this isn't random. It's not just the result of bad luck or poor decision-making on the part of individuals. The truth is, the system itself is designed in a way that favors the wealthy and ensures power remains in the hands of a few. Think about it. Why do billionaires and massive corporations pay little to no taxes, while the average worker loses a significant chunk of their paycheck every month? It's not because they're better at playing the game. It's because the game is rigged in their favor. Tax loopholes and financial policies aren't accidents. They're intentional mechanisms created to concentrate wealth at the top. The ultra-wealthy have access to tools and strategies most people don't even know exist. Offshore accounts, tax shelters, and strategic charitable donations allow them to avoid paying their fair share. Meanwhile, regular people struggle to make ends meet, shouldering the burden of funding public services through their own hard-earned money. Inflation, the silent thief. Let's talk about inflation, the silent thief in your wallet. You've felt it, haven't you? Groceries are more expensive, rent is climbing higher, and even filling up your gas tank feels like a luxury sometimes. What most people don't realize is that inflation isn't just a natural economic force. In many ways, it's a tool that benefits governments. When prices rise, so do tax revenues. The government collects more money without officially raising tax rates, and most people don't even notice. Meanwhile, your savings lose value and your purchasing power declines. This means you're forced to work harder just to maintain the same standard of living. Here's the kicker. Inflation disproportionately hurts the poor and middle class. While the wealthy can invest in assets that outpace inflation, like stocks, real estate, or gold, the average person doesn't have that luxury. They're stuck watching their hard-earned money lose value while struggling to keep up with rising costs. But inflation doesn't just hurt individuals, it erodes entire communities. When people can't afford basic necessities, it leads to increased debt, reduced savings, and a cycle of financial instability that's hard to escape. And yet, the government benefits from this system. Why? Because inflation reduces the real value of government debt, making it easier for them to pay off their obligations, while everyday citizens bear the brunt of the cost. Debt, the modern-day trap. Debt is so normalized today that it feels like a rite of passage. Student loans, car payments, credit cards, it's become part of everyday life. But have you ever stopped to wonder why? Why does debt feel like the only way to get ahead? The truth is, the system encourages borrowing. College tuition keeps skyrocketing, while wages stay stagnant. Young adults start their careers burdened with massive student loans, setting them up for a lifetime of repayment. Add to that the rising costs of housing, transportation, and healthcare, and it's no surprise that so many people turn to credit cards to fill the gaps. And it's not just individuals. Entire nations operate on debt. Governments borrow money to fund their operations, and the interest payments on those loans often exceed the amount spent on critical programs like education or infrastructure. The result? A system where debt is not just a necessity. It's a cornerstone of the economy. Have you ever wondered why banks seem so eager to offer you loans, credit cards, or financing options? It's because debt is incredibly profitable for them. Every time you make a payment, you're not just paying back what you owe, you're also paying interest, fees, and penalties. It's a system designed to keep you paying forever, ensuring that banks and financial institutions continue to profit off your struggles. The education system, a tool for control. Now let's look at the education system. Schools are supposed to prepare us for life, right? So why don't they teach us about money? Why are topics like budgeting, investing, and taxes missing from the curriculum? It's not an oversight, it's intentional. If people truly understood how money works, they'd be harder to control. They'd question why they're working longer hours for less pay, or why the cost of living keeps rising while their wages stay the same. The lack of financial education isn't just about ignorance, it's about dependency. If you don't understand how to manage your money, you're more likely to rely on credit, fall into debt, and remain trapped in the cycle of poverty. And it's not just about financial literacy. The education system often discourages critical thinking and innovation. Instead, it focuses on producing obedient workers who follow orders, accept the status quo, and don't question the system. It's a form of control that ensures the wealthy and powerful remain at the top, while everyone else stays in their place. Wages, a broken system. The minimum wage hasn't kept up with the cost of living for years. While corporations report record-breaking profits, many workers can barely survive. A full-time job should provide enough to cover basic needs like housing, food, and healthcare. Yet for millions of people, that's simply not the case. If governments wanted to, they could raise the minimum wage to a living wage. But they don't. Why? Because keeping wages low benefits corporations, and those corporations fund political campaigns and lobby for favorable policies. It's a cycle that ensures the status quo remains intact. When workers demand better pay, they're often met with resistance. They're told that higher wages would hurt the economy, lead to job losses, or increase prices. But the truth is, corporations could easily afford to pay their workers more. They just choose not to because it would cut into their profits. Social welfare. Help or hindrance. Social welfare programs seem like lifelines for those in need. But if you look closer, you'll see that they often keep people trapped in poverty rather than helping them escape it. These programs are designed to provide just enough to survive, but not enough to thrive. They create dependency, ensuring that recipients stay in survival mode. And because these programs are often underfunded or poorly managed, they fail to address the root causes of poverty, perpetuating the cycle instead of breaking it. Think about it. How many people have truly escaped poverty through welfare alone? The system isn't designed to lift people up. It's designed to keep them where they are. And as long as people remain dependent on these programs, they're less likely to question the system or demand meaningful change. The illusion of the American dream. The American dream once promised that if you worked hard, you'd succeed. But for many today, no matter how hard they work, they can't seem to get ahead. The dream isn't attainable for most people anymore. But its illusion keeps us striving within a system that's rigged against us. It's a brilliant form of control, giving people just enough hope to keep them working hard while ensuring that the fruits of their labor benefit those at the top. The reality is harsh, but understanding it is the first step toward change. By recognizing the mechanisms that keep us trapped, we can begin to fight back. What can we do? The first step is awareness. By understanding how the system works, you can start making choices that work for you, not against you. Educating yourself about personal finance is critical. Learn about budgeting, investing, and building wealth. Invest in assets that build wealth over time. Whether it's stocks, real estate, or starting a business, focus on things that can grow your financial stability. Support policies and candidates that prioritize economic equality and hold corporations accountable. Your vote matters. Use it wisely. And perhaps most importantly, spread awareness. Share what you've learned with others. The truth is sobering, but it's not hopeless. By taking control of your financial education and making informed decisions, you can break free from the cycle and build a future on your terms. The system may be rigged, but it's not impenetrable. Together, we can challenge it, change it, and create a world where prosperity isn't just reserved for the few, but is accessible to everyone.